What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we discuss the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
And LeVon Maynard.
What up?
What is going on? So another action-packed week. Again, we're back to the regular schedule, so you'll hear us every day except for Thursdays. And then this week we have some pretty good stories dealing with not only some initiatives in the Black community when it comes to cybersecurity, but also talking about how there might be 1 billion devices out there who have vulnerabilities, and then some plans that Apple has that are concerned about privacy. Like their intent is in a good place, but the way that they might be going about it may not be. But we'll discuss it. And then, of course, we'll do the weekly rundown where we discuss everything we saw this week. Some of us may have seen Marvel's latest flick, and we'll discuss it. So without further ado, I give it to LeVon.
Well, actually, I think up first, I think we have Shannon, perhaps.
Yep, it's me.
You're right.
It's me.
Okay, I'm not editing either, so we're just gonna roll with it.
Not that it really matters. I guess either one of us could have gone first.
Well, I got it. It's good. It's good. So this one is actually from tpinsights.com, and it's written by Mirtha Donistorg. And the title of this one is how a $25 million HBCU initiative created a pipeline for more Black cybersecurity professionals. So this actually is kind of a blast from the past, right? So even though this article was written this week, this is something that current President Biden, who was the vice president at the time in 2015, started with a $25 million 5-year initiative with 13 HBCUs and 2 national laboratories, right? And so what it was the Department of Energy was dedicating $25 million to build up cybersecurity education at these HBCUs, which is something, we love to see over here on this podcast, right? We like to see things like this to where you start helping out with the HBCUs, because what you run into is like I've seen the argument in print where they talk about, people that graduate from the HBCUs, are not given back to them and this, that, and the third. Well, this is where the second and third order effects of other things come into play, right? Like when you have the wage gap that you have, when it comes to, minorities and what they're paid, like they don't have the amount to give back, to their alma maters like some of these other places do, right? That's why you're not seeing these big donations, come back to the HBCUs, because the people that graduated from them, there's not as many, first off, right? And they're not making as much money, right? Because the percentage is a little bit lower, but neither here nor there, right? But in relation to this, so this was, like I said, back in 2015, then Vice President Biden started up this initiative, and what it was they formed this organization called C-Corps, which was a consortium enabling cybersecurity opportunities and research, right? And $25 million, right? Like it's a start. It's not a lot, but it's a start. But it was amongst, like I said, 13 HBCUs and two national laboratories. And what it was these HBCUs, you had some of them that were actually offering computer science degrees, but they had no cybersecurity programs, right? Now, I know that sounds the same, but it's not really. There's a little bit of difference in there, right, when it comes to computer science and cybersecurity. But by the end of this initiative, you had 13 schools that offered at a minimum a cybersecurity concentration and a new cybersecurity bachelor's degree, which is awesome, right? This is the type of stuff that we brought up in this podcast for months now. Is about trying to start out at the lower levels and get people, educated to go out there and take these jobs. And with this initiative, what they actually had was they developed training working on the Linux system, right? So they had a boot camp that they offered to where people could go and work with Linux, right? They also started up a K through 12 program that dealt with cybersecurity, right? So if you get some of these children that are in there at a younger age and get them interested, right? This is what you really want, you know what I mean? Because these young kids today, man, they always thinking of something, not always for the best, right? But they always thinking of something that, that'll, you know what I mean? That could be the next new thing, you know what I mean? And that's just how it is, you know what I mean? But yeah. So LeVon, what you think about this, man?
Yeah. Kind of build off what you just said. I mean, all these kids nowadays, they're born with tablets in their hands. They know all this technology, and especially we can start them off early. And obviously, this money, these obviously this is a great article. It's great to hear about some of the progress being made with these um, this money being dedicated to these HBCUs. Uh, and I'm glad that I think we talked about it maybe on the last week, but recently there has been like obviously a big cybersecurity initiative with COVID going on, and then uh, I think there's been some other companies that have been making some initiatives. I think it was like IBM or something to that effect that was focusing on HBCUs. They had dedicated some money for cybersecurity focused around HBCUs, and so to see this as well is it's a great thing, and obviously it's important to help diversify our larger cyber workforce, so we can kind of get everybody, include everybody in these operations. And as you mentioned before, as you just mentioned about the young kids getting kind of introduced to this technology early on, I think is really important. And then from there, they can kind of grow and kind of branch out and obviously make an impact in the world, make an impact in the industry. So I think it's a great thing. I mean, I don't know if there's much more to say about it for myself, but I just think it's I like to see these things kind of happen. Hopefully that as you mentioned, I think this was just from the 2015 as Joe Biden was the vice president. You kind of see some of the results of that impact of that donation, or that, I guess, that dedicated money. But I'm hoping to see like more money going to this. Hopefully we can see some more programs get kind of branched out and kind of help impact some of these communities, and especially if they go into some of the lower income communities, especially that may be predominantly Black. I'd love to see that kind of thing as well. Kind of help some of the the communities that don't have as much opportunity, especially I prefer to see that kind of thing versus like money going into like places that already have a lot of opportunities, a lot of big big businesses, big high quality colleges and all this kind of stuff. So I like to see that, and I know a little bit about Norfolk State University. I saw that reference in the article. That's an old stomping ground, so it's kind of it's good to see that they were a big part of that initiative. But what about you, Ryan? What you got on this?
Yeah, I mean, definitely positive vibes coming from it. I like, so it's twofold. I like how the initiative carried it through from one administration to another administration. So hopefully it means more money will get dumped into it. It's like, so it's something you already started, so it's something that should probably continue. So maybe instead of 25 million, it'd be 50 million if they did good bookkeeping, and as well as it was like we showed what we did with the resources. So like you can give us even more money now to do even more with it. But then again, to reiterate what you guys were saying when it comes to the K through 12, getting kids in the pipeline so that way they understand cyber and want to carry through with cyber and IT, because it really is the future, right? And you don't want to have to shift gears when you get to the collegiate level if you want to jump into it. Like you can, it's definitely a thing. Like we've talked about in the past, you have people who are coming out of massage therapy and psychology and other fields going into cyber, but they already have it in there, and then to also relieve some of that stress from the parents, because I don't know if you guys looked into boot camps, but like we were looking into some boot camps for my son because he wanted to do coding, and they were running like $500 for a week. Like you just spend $500, and there's only like, even though the area that we're coming from in Florida is pretty robust, there's only like 2 camps. So either you go to A or you go to B. Right. For this 1 week, and then it varies again, like in price, how many kids they can handle. So to put this stuff into the schools, I think is great. So I definitely think it's a great initiative. Hopefully they keep it up, because they have shown that we did really good with the money. And then we've talked about it in past weeks where people are starting to flock to the South to grab that talent and invest that money. So it may not come from the administration this time or the Department of Energy, but it may come from your Apples or your Bell South or what have you, to say, hey, this program works, so let's put some more money, resources into it. And then if you can show the pipeline, if you can show that, like it'll be years in the future, but if you can show a grade schooler or middle schooler who's gone through and then graduated from college through this program. That'd be outstanding. So
absolutely.
So they actually mentioned in the article, one of their key insights is they had Jasmine Bowers was her name, was a former intern at one of the labs, and she was the first Black person to get a doctorate in computer science from University of Florida in 2020. So it is showing results. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is what we're looking for here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed that as well. I thought that's a big deal.
Yeah. So it's just those historics. And that person comes back, and then they carry the torch. They might become a department head, or just speaking to the kids like, hey, look what I did with what we had. Because 25 million is a rounding error for the government. Like 25 million is nothing. So, but to take that 25 million, sow those seeds, and produce such a great program, that shows that, hey, this is something we should put more money into. Like, this should be something we dedicate our money to. So definitely great.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Go ahead. No, so definitely great. Like, I look forward to seeing the future of this. Like, hopefully before the administration, it's 4 years are up, we'll see them put some more money into the program.
And that's what I was going to try to allude to, right? Is that you see that this actually is a passion, and we actually mentioned this one of our last episodes too. That the administration, 2 administrations ago, that's where this started with Vice President Biden, and he's continuing that today. Like, look at all the money that he's pouring into it, and all the executive actions that he's taking, and things like that. Like, this is a real thing for him. Like, he was doing this back in 2015 before all the ransomwares and the cybersecurity incidents that we're seeing nowadays were even going on. So it seems like it's been a real priority for him personally.
Yeah, definitely. And so that makes me wonder, like, because he's older, right? So, like, all presidents of the past, almost, like, it seems to be the people who are in charge are usually in their 60s or above. Do you think he understands cyber, or that he just feels that it's very important, or does he have a team that he keeps around him that keep him abreast of, like, these are the movements and what have you? Because he's been in it for decades now.
But here's what you have to think about, though, right? So, like, he's been in Congress for almost 50 years, right? And I can imagine that every so often, I mean, they have their IT department, in the Senate, that says, hey, we're going to be doing this every so often, right? So, like, every so often, we're going to update your machines, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And maybe it was something he just paid attention to, right? Because, I mean, at 78 years old, I don't know if I'm only assuming here, he's not really on top of it. But, like, when you're the president, there is a team of people to give you options. I mean, the ultimate responsibility is with you, but there is a team of people that will come to you and say, hey, this is the problems we're seeing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So maybe it's just a really good, not lobbyist per se, but just a big presence. You know what I mean? Like, this is an initiative for all of Congress. This is an initiative for every administration. And it ebbs and flows over from time to time, but there's somebody who's like, hey, this is important. So that's what's up. So keeping us relatively close to the catching up to the enemy, because they are still doing so much better than we are doing.
I'm kind of curious. I mean, obviously, the USA is a big target. It seems like we always have different attacks and cyber incidents, but you don't really hear about that overseas as much. It doesn't seem. At least we're just not covering it. We don't hear the news stories, but I feel like a lot of it's concentrated in U.S. I mean, I know U.S. is it's a big superpower, but it's like, I guess we have our our enemies. I guess we consider, like, China, Russia, like people that, at least the countries that we have, like maybe the biggest competition with. I don't know if you want to say that, but it's just interesting that we seem to be targeted the most, and maybe that's our lack of I don't know. We like you guys were just mentioning, that maybe we need to kind of step up.
It could be arrogance, LeVon. Let's be honest about it.
Sure.
I mean, let's be real about it, right? We're like, we're who we are, and you're not going to do anything to us, and then they just keep smacking us, right?
Right. Yeah.
Look, I'll say it, LeVon. I know you was trying to be nice about it, but I'll say it. I'll put it out there.
Or it could be that our companies will pay, as opposed to the other countries. They might be like, we're not paying that. And when we find you, it's on site.
Right.
we're a little bit softer about it.
Right. That's the truth.
Like, we ain't going back there. We ain't attacking that country no more. So
that's the truth. Yeah.
But no, it's great conversation. I try to get these in try every week. But obviously, there are a lot of initiatives happening, but not all the time. So we look forward to seeing this. We like seeing that people of color are getting the into IT. This the platform, like women of color, or just women in general, or just people who aren't in the majority of IT and cybersecurity, are starting to see their initiatives pick up. I mean, there's money there to get them in the field, and just diversify the field, because the more diverse it is, the better we'll all be. I mean, getting those key insights from everybody. So not a lot of groupthink is what we're hopefully starting to tip the scale against. So we'll keep you posted. We'll keep these articles going, and I always look forward to it. So again, tune in throughout the week. We have a lot more to say this week, definitely for tomorrow, because you probably are you probably own one of the billion devices that's currently infected, or not infected, but has a vulnerability where you could be impacted by what's to come. So definitely stay tuned. Hit up the website, www.theothersideofthefirewall.com, where you get to all our social medias. You can hit me up personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy on Clubhouse, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And you, LeVon?
Hit me up on the Twitters at LeVon Miller.
There it is. Stay safe, stay secure.
Take care.